Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, May 4th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, and then the candlestick you see right there will also be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, IMGN. Like this one for a couple of reasons. First reason, just big movement today, big volume. And then the second reason, good solid pattern, and by no means is this some sort of great discovery on my part. So I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply that this is some great discovery on my part. In fact, you got to think that a lot of people have drawn this pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people have drawn the same pattern and are wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So in order to make this, let's just make it the same color, hopefully make it easier to see. So we have resistance, we have support, we have the big upwards move here, and then for you golfers out there, we'll make it more visual, put in the golf hole down there. So this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So are there guarantees or not guarantees? But is it valid? Is it rational to think that if the price can come up here to the top part of the pattern and get a break up through it, that break in and of itself could create buying pressure because there's going to be people around the world saying, hey, I'm a breakout trader. Oh, look, that's breaking out. Oh, I'm supposed to buy on breakouts. Yeah, that is certainly a plausible outcome. Again, guaranteed? No. Plausible? Absolutely. So if you do like to play bull pennant patterns, keep an eye on it. Next one, MULN, and this is one that I've been tracking because volume started to kick back in. The price started to creep its way back upwards. So going into the day, it became a very valid question of, hey, is this thing warming back up? Are the bulls starting to show some signs of life? Is the momentum starting to creep back in? And we got our answer today. No, absolutely not. This whole movement here was just a dead cat bounce as the price got absolutely crushed today on massive volume. And I say massive volume, almost 1 billion shares traded today. In fact, it might go over 1 billion. Granted, it's below a 10-cent stock, but still, that's a lot of volume any way you look at it. But point here being is that, yeah, it's worth, and that's the idea of a watch list. The theory of it, the idea behind it is to find unique, to find interesting situations and not rush out and buy anything, but to at least watch it. And the unique and interesting situation going into today was the fact that this was showing signs of strength. It's got a track record of being able to move very quickly. I mean, if you have any sort of, so here's the last time it made a very nice move, just right here in just a matter of a couple of days, almost 100% move. So yeah, when this thing starts to show signs of life, starts to show signs of, potentially turn around, it's worth keeping an eye on. But in this situation, no, that was all just a little dead cat bounce, false alarm, as the price just got dumped all over today. Next one, AMD, very popular stock, had earnings. And when you have popular stocks that get beat down, a lot of people watch them. A lot of people like to just buy for any reason. And with this situation right now, let me get it drawn in. We have ourselves another pattern. In fact, this is one of my favorite patterns. Let's get it drawn into play first. And this would be a falling wedge pattern. Now, you would think, in fact, let me first get that changed to green to represent the support part of the pattern. Now, you would think a falling wedge pattern is somehow bearish, but that's not true. It's actually a bullish pattern. A rising wedge is actually bearish. Now, to reiterate, just because something's bullish doesn't mean it's for sure going up. If only it were that easy. Just like if something's in a bearish pattern, doesn't mean the price is going to go down. But in this situation, falling wedge. So it's not only the falling wedge per se, but it's the fact that the falling wedge is occurring on such a popular stock such as AMD. So nice pattern. Very well-defined pattern, which reintroduces that whole talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies. But you have that, and you combine that with a very, very popular stock, worth certainly keeping an eye on. Next one here, CHGG got absolutely beat down yesterday after earnings and all that news, but now has started to show signs of life again. So like MULN, question becomes, okay, is this the start of a bigger move in the upwards direction? Now, it may not be, but we've got to be able to answer that question, and with charts, it becomes very straightforward. So is this the start of something bigger? Is there genuine power behind today's price movement? That's where $9.30 comes into play, based on the just simple logic that price movements with genuine power are going to progress forward. Now, it's not going to go straight up. Nothing goes straight up, but there's at least going to be progress. Well, that leads into, okay, Clay, how are you defining quote-unquote progress? And that's $9.30. Why so? Well, let's say the price comes down here and breaks down below it. What would that be doing at that point here? Well, that would quite literally be putting the price right back to where it was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power. Again, think about MULN that we talked about earlier. But like I said, no price can go straight up. So maybe the price comes down here, but instead, does something like that where it bounces off. Well, now all of a sudden, what would you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows right there. You'd have those lows down here. And if you envision each of those as stair-steps, well, at least at this point, you now have progress being made in the upwards direction. So yes, nice move today. Is it a truly strong move? Let's see if it can make progress. How am I defining progress? Again, $9.30. Next one here, AMC. Very, very impressive move, especially when you factor that yesterday things weren't terrible, but had the false breakout and dropped all the way down here. Which, put both of these red lines back to being areas of resistance. But then you look at today's action, and both resistances have been broken and closed above. So all in all, a very, very impressive and healthy day. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines here as they serve their purpose for now. And we'll extend this one out and make that first update. And this update is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward now, $5.70 would be that ideal level, meaning for ask Clay, what make this chart look the absolute strongest going forward? And that would be, ideally if the price can stay above 570. But if the price were to drop below it, not the end of the world or anything like that, because from more of an overarching standpoint, you have the 50-period moving average right there, and then even more so an overarching standpoint, you have that pink line down there at the 200-period moving average. So all in all, good, healthy move. At highs now. For a while it was, had to consolidate out, go sideways, 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 but finally got a new move to highs, staying above 570. So good signs of power there. In terms of next potential battlegrounds, got to squeeze things down here a bit. As you're seeing, it's been, oh wow, I didn't realize it's been this long since the price went up this high. So there we go. Next potential area of resistance now going to be right up there at $6. Yeah, let's just call it the $6 mark. So let me double check. Lows. Yeah, $6. So $6 next key battleground. But yeah, very, very impressive move. And we'll see if the price can continue to grind upwards or not. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering on Thursday. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen up to this point and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency to manage risk, then certainly get signed up for this free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one here, SOFI. Been tracking this one pretty closely, and yeah, pretty a garbage day today, but that is perspective for those of you that chose, and this is why I encourage you got to think for yourself, because maybe some of you watched yesterday's video saying, Clay, I disagree with that support. I think the support is at those lows right here. I hear where you're coming from. And you know what? You nailed it. You were right, because look right where it bounced off of, right from those previous lows. So today's movement was not garbage. But as far as, I'm going to get rid of that. As far as breakouts are concerned, yeah, you can see the price came up here to that red line there. It broke through it. So, I mean, to be fair, depending on your strategy, if you're some sort of scalper, maybe you're able to scalp something out right there. But also to be fair, it's not like there's any sort of continuation as the price dropped right back over. So I'm going to keep that level, as that main level of resistance, which sits right up there at the $5 mark. So I'll extend that out some more. But now what makes this interesting is are we going to be looking at a triple bottom pattern? Bottom number one, bottom number two right there, and then does this move right here come down, and can it find some support at that area? It very well may. You could be looking at anticipating a triple bottom reversal, but to be fair, maybe it's getting ready to break down, and that's why, of course, risk management matters. If you're not going to manage risk, you shouldn't be trading. But as far as could somebody accuse you of thinking that green line is some random area on the chart? No, absolutely not. There's certainly logic that goes behind it. Logic doesn't guarantee anything, but it does mean that you're not just randomly throwing darts, acting like a degenerate gambler. So if you like to play potential, triple bottom type setups, keep an eye on this one in 475. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that have watched past videos, but if you have, then hopefully you remember me throwing that trend line into place. I don't remember, it's been in there for several days now, but it once again showed up today, and look at it. Look how the price, it just cannot build any sort of momentum. So as I zoom in, so I just want to see where this that was coming from. But so this trend line, it's not a problem with the price breaking above it. The price is broken above it several times now, including several times today. The problem is gaining and maintaining momentum. So again, not a problem of breaking that level. It's not like it's this where the price just gets flat out rejected. It's sure it breaks through it, but it just can't gain any sort of momentum as the price has now been rejected back down, which is now putting this level back into play, which I've talked about previously too, down at 158.75 as a level that looking like it might get tested. And wait, is that the first opening 30 minute? Oh no, that was yesterday. But looks like that it may be getting, coming back into play here again. So that's my long way of saying Basically nothing new to report. The levels that I talked about previously still 100% pertain. That level still pertains as a resistance, and that level still pertains as support. But like I said, the one difference here is it's looking like, is that price going to come down there? And if it does, how does it behave at that level? Do you get another bounce again? Is that going to be a complete break to the downside? That's why risk management matters. Somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. But that doesn't take away from the fact that these are levels that you got to think a lot of people are watching and therefore contain the possibility of some self-fulfilling prophecies. Next one, SNTG, and nothing really fancy behind this one other than just the reminder of what a watch list is all about, finding unique, finding interesting situations, and watching. And what catches my eye here is this one has a track record of moving and being able to move very, very big and very, very quickly. And you look at today, and volume has come back in. Nothing massive, but certainly a whole lot more than yesterday, where it was looking like it was completely game over. So all this just leads me to believe is this thing warming back up? Very well may not be. Very well, tomorrow could be this thing just collapses back downwards. But that's why I say you don't just randomly rush out and buy. You observe and see what happens. And if this is the beginning of something bigger, then at least you have a much better chance of potentially catching a move back to the upside. So if you like these sorts of situations where something has made a big move and then apparently is done, and then all of a sudden starts to show some signs of life, and you wonder, is this the start of something bigger? Is this a leading indicator? If you like those sorts of scenarios, keep an eye on this one. Next one here, SNAP, Snapchat, and like AMD, popular stock. But this is why risk management matters, because if I'm being honest, did I think this thing would continue to bleed like this? I did not. I thought there would have been at least a bit more of a bounce that never really came, and this thing has continued to bleed. But nonetheless, still worth keeping an eye on. So let's get this level drawn in right there. And then put that level in like so. So we have ourselves another falling wedge pattern. So same general idea, falling wedge on a relatively popular stock. And this one would be popular too, I would argue, because it's also down below $10. So you have kind of that crowd into play here. So again, if you like these sorts of scenarios, if you like falling wedge patterns, then definitely keep an eye on Snapchat also. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. And the NASDAQ market had a crazy afternoon. As I'm sure you're aware, the Fed announced today, so that had markets all over the place. And ultimately, the price came down. But what makes this so interesting from a technical point of view is in regard to this green line here. So if you watch yesterday's video, then you know that I've been talking about 27 quite a bit. And you can see that the price not only came down to that level, but is now closed below it, which brings about a very valid and interesting question. Is this the start of something bigger to the downside? To be fair, maybe not. Maybe this is the fake breakdown, and the bulls are going to say, hey, just kidding, and then boom, up it goes. I could very realistically see that happening. But that is a two-sided coin, because maybe this is the start of a much bigger move to the downside. So for those of you that like to short or play puts, that could be a scenario right there. So what happens? Nobody knows that. But what everybody does know is that this is a significant level. So you're going to have a lot of people watching and trying to make those decisions. What exactly is going to happen here? Is this the leading indicator of further downwards move? That's very valid, but for people that like to play fake breakdowns and then look for the thing to snap back upwards, I understand where they're coming from too. So somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong, but the common denominator here is that this $27 mark is certainly carrying a whole lot of weight. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm very curious on it myself, and we'll see what happens. And if the price starts to bounce, then there's a variety of trade plans you can put together. If the price starts to continue down, there's a variety of other trade plans you can do. So welcome to the wonderful world of trading. But like I said, 27 in my mind stands out quite a bit. If there is some sort of crazy move back to the upside, then nothing has changed from an overarching standpoint. Up there at 28.50 still remains that key area of resistance. That wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free training. Like I said, it'll be very soon, Thursday, May 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, do two things for me. Hit that like button and tell me what you're trading or what you traded today or what you're watching tomorrow. So those two things help out the channel, and I appreciate it and thank you in advance. So get signed up for that class. Thanks for watching.